Hello and welcome to Vision of Asia, the news you can trust and events that move and celebrate our very own South Asian community. I'm Priya Jyoti Kachru coming to you from our ITV Gold studio in New Jersey. In the headlines today, sixth phase UP polls, BJP will win over 80% seats, says Yogi Adityanath after casting vote in Gorakhpur. US working to urge India to take clear position on Ukraine-Russia crisis. United Airlines says flights are now avoiding Russian airspace. In our feature news today, we will be covering from Kuwait Airlift in 1990 to Operation Ganga in 2022, a few evacuation missions by India. Netflix pauses all its future projects, acquisitions from Russia. Ask Shah Rukh Khan. Shah Rukh Khan responds to fans telling him, "Filmon mein aao, khabron mein nahi." Not a victim, but a survivor. Pamela Anderson announces documentary. The Kashmir Files is an emotion, a mission, not just a film. A report by our India correspondent, Rajiv Vijayekar. Sixth phase UP polls, BJP will win over 80% seats, says Yogi Adityanath. After casting vote in Gorakhpur, Uttar Pradesh, Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath on Thursday cast his vote in Gorakhpur in the sixth phase polling for the Uttar Pradesh Assembly elections and said that the Bharatiya Janata Party will win over 80% seats in the state. Adityanath is contesting the polls from the Gorakhpur Urban Assembly seat. After casting the vote, the Chief Minister appealed to the electorate to vote on the issues of development and security. Addressing the media, he said, "I hope people will vote in large numbers. Under Prime Minister Narendra Modi's leadership, the BJP will set a record in the poll victory by winning a large number of seats. We will win over 80% of the seats in the state. Vote for development and security, vote for the BJP," he added. Earlier in the day, Adityanath said the UP Assembly elections have reached the decisive stage. Each vote for the ruling Bharatiya Janata Party will help UP in becoming India's #1 economy. He said that it's time to decide between the BJP and terror-supporting people in an apparent swipe at the Samajwadi Party after one of the relatives of a convict in the Ahmedabad serial bomb blast case was seen on the campaign trails with the party chief Akhilesh Yadav. You have seen developmental projects in the last 5 years, be it the inauguration of AIIMS to Kushinagar International Airport. It's time to decide between us and terror-supporting people. Each of you votes will make Uttar Pradesh India's #1 economy, Adityanath said. Adityanath offered prayers at Gorakhnath Temple in Gorakhpur before the commencement of the polling for the sixth phase of the Uttar Pradesh Assembly elections on Thursday morning. With 676 candidates in the fray in the sixth phase of the Uttar Pradesh Assembly elections, Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath is among the prominent candidates. Polling for the seventh phase, which will be the last, will be held on March 7th. The counting of the votes will take place on March 10th. US working to urge India to take clear position on Ukraine-Russia crisis, US diplomat. The Biden administration is trying to urge India to take a clear position on the Russia-Ukraine crisis, US diplomat Donald Lu said on Wednesday. Lu noted that Secretary of State Anthony Blinken has been on the front lines of that battle and that US President Joe Biden and other senior officials in the State Department have been relentlessly conducting various very serious high-level dialogue with their Indian counterparts over Ukraine. India has focused on two things. One, trying to explain its position. One, that it continues to want to leave on the table the possibility of a diplomatic resolution of this conflict. The second thing that they emphasize is India has 18,000 students still in Ukraine, and they are trying to work with both the governments of Ukraine and Russia to safeguard those, the top US diplomat stated. Notably, India drew criticism from US lawmakers, both Republicans and Democrats, at a hearing on the US relationship with India for being among 35 nations that abstained Wednesday from a UN vote to rebuke Russia's invasion. Responding to criticism made by the lawmakers of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, Lu said, "Let me say that all of us have been working to urge India to take a clear position, a position opposed to Russia's actions. The State Department continues to engage India closely to underscore the importance of a collective response and condemning Russia's invasion," he added. "So we are making small steps and assure you we are on this and working every day to make sure that we are trying to close the gap between where we are and where our Indian partners are." Lu, the Assistant Secretary of State for South and Central Asia, informed the Senate Foreign Relations Subpanel. Even though India has not taken a clear position, the US says it can see an evolution in some of India's public position. So you may have seen yesterday the Indian government said it would send an airlift of humanitarian supplies from India to Ukraine. That's important. That's a request that's coming from Ukraine's leadership. Second, it said in a UN session that it called for all states to abide by the UN Charter to respect the sovereignty and the territorial integrity of other states. That wasn't criticism of Russia, but a very clear reference to Russia's violation of the UN Charter and violation of Ukraine's sovereignty, Lu explained. Meanwhile, voting results displayed on screens at the UN General Assembly showed that 141 nations voted in favor of the move condemning Russia's invasion of Ukraine, and 5 nations were against it, with 35 countries, including India, abstaining. However, refuting allegations of attacking civilian infrastructures, Russia's permanent representative to the United Nations, Vasily Nebenzia, said that Moscow is not carrying out strikes on civilians and civilian facilities. United Airlines said its flights will now avoid Russian airspace, even though the country has not yet banned US aircraft from overflights. 2 routes between the US and India, San Francisco to New Delhi and Newark to Mumbai, will be cancelled for the next few days. The airline is also rerouting flights between Newark and New Delhi and between Chicago O'Hare and New Delhi. Delta Airlines said it is no longer flying through Russian airspace for some Asia-bound flights as well. Last month, American Airlines began rerouting flights that operated over Ukraine. Russia has banned dozens of Western countries from operating in its airspace, but it has not yet banned US aircraft, even after the US announced it would block Russian flights in the US airspace. Our feature today, from Kuwait Airlift in 1990 to Operation Ganga in 2022. Here are a few evacuation missions by India. The government of India has carried out several major evacuation operations in the past, from Kuwait Airlift in 1990 to Operation Ganga in 2022. Here's a look at Kuwait Airlift 1990. After 1 lakh Iraqi soldiers had marched into Kuwait, nearly 2 lakh Indians were left stranded, leaving the general public helpless with nowhere to go. The Indian government airlifted the Indian citizens out of the country over the course of 2 months. After this, Air India was registered in the Guinness World Records for executing the largest ever air evacuation mission. Operation Rahat 2015. Operation Rahat was conducted in 2015 when the Yemeni government and Houthi rebels got entangled in a conflict. Thousands of Indians and several hundreds of foreign nationals were rescued from Yemen during the conflict. Operation Maitri 2015. This mission was initiated by the Government of India and Indian Armed Forces in the aftermath of the Nepal earthquake in 2015. Indian government responded within few minutes of the quake. It started on April 26, 2015 and involved Nepali ex-servicemen from India's Gorkha Regiment for Guidance, Relief and Rescue. Vande Bharat Mission 2020. When the pandemic hit the world, over 60 lakh Indian students and citizens were left stranded in foreign countries. This led to the shutdown of all international travel services. Chartered flights, naval ships and other means were used by the Indian government to help their citizens in coming back to the country. Operation Ganga 2022. After Russia invaded Ukraine, the latter was declared a no-fly zone. However, nearly 20,000 Indian nationals are currently in the Ukraine and are being helped to return to India in several phases. India will send at least 46 evacuation flights to bring back the stranded Indian nationals, including all the medical students. Under India's evacuation plan, Operation Ganga, the 46 flights are scheduled till March 8th. According to the Ministry of External Affairs, the flights planned are 29 from Bucharest, 10 from Budapest, 6 from Zesso, and 1 from Kosi. Besides, C-17 aircraft of the Indian Air Force has also deployed to Romania to repatriate the Indian citizens. Civil Aviation Minister Jyotiraditya Scindia had said that it's mainly college students who are currently stranded in Ukraine. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has asked the Indian Air Force to evacuate Indians stranded in Ukraine. Indians are traveling by road to Ukraine's borders with Romania, Hungary, Slovakia, Poland, etc., from where they are being taken by the Indian government officials to airports for evacuation flights. The Indian Embassy in Ukraine on Twitter advised all Indian nationals, including students, to leave Kyiv urgently, preferably by available trains or through any other means available. Modi government has put a high priority on Operation Ganga and deployed Union Ministers Hardeep Singh Puri, Jyotiraditya Scindia, Kiran Rijiju and General V.K. Singh to Poland, Romania, Hungary, Slovakia and Moldova, respectively, to facilitate the process of bringing back Indians. Due to Russia's military operations in Ukraine, Netflix has decided to pause all future projects and acquisitions from President Vladimir Putin-led country. The streamer had 4 Russian originals in the pipeline, including a crime thriller series directed by Dasha Zuk, which was shooting and has been put on hold. The 1990s set series was Netflix's second original series, filming in Russia following Anna K, which wrapped last year. The service was launched in the country just over a year ago and is believed to have about 1 million subscribers. Prior to Netflix, Disney and Warner Brothers announced their decision of halting the theatrical releases of their projects in Russia. Ask Shah Rukh Khan. Shah Rukh Khan responds to fans telling him, "Filmon mein aao, khabron mein nahi." Bollywood superstar Shah Rukh Khan on Wednesday surprised fans with a quick Ask Shah Rukh Khan interaction round on Twitter. After officially announcing his highly anticipated project Pathaan on Wednesday, Khan hosted the Ask Shah Rukh Khan session. During the session, one of the social media users wrote to Khan, "Kahan gayab ho dear? Filmon mein aate raho, khabron mein nahi." Replying to this, SRK wrote, "Okay, next time I will be the khabardar, #Pathaan." This comes in reference to the recent controversies that Shah Rukh Khan was surrounded with. His son Aryan Khan was arrested in an alleged drug cruise case in Mumbai. A section of social media users also trolled him for allegedly spitting on late legendary singer Lata Mangeshkar's mortal remains at her funeral. Later, it was cleared through viral pictures that he blowed on her mortal remains as a religious practice after reciting dua. A user tweeted at that time, reading a dua and blowing on #LataDidi's mortal remains for protection and blessings in the next journey. It's a part of the prayer. For the unversed, Shah Rukh Khan on Wednesday unveiled the first teaser and release date of the upcoming movie that also stars Deepika Padukone and John Abraham. I know it's late, but remember the date. Pathaan time starts now. See you in cinemas on 25th January 2023. Releasing in Hindi, Tamil and Telugu, celebrate Pathaan only at a big screen near you, Shah Rukh Khan wrote on Twitter. Pamela on Wednesday took to social media and announced the news with a handwritten note on Netflix letterhead, which reads, "My life, 1,000 imperfections, 1,000,000 misperceptions, wicked, wild and lost, nothing to live up to. I can only surprise you, not a victim, but a survivor, and alive to tell the real story." Anderson's son Brandon Thomas Lee, who serves as a producer on the project, reposted the note on his Instagram story and captioned it as the real story. Directed by Ryan White, the yet-to-be-titled documentary has been in the making for several years and will include never-before-seen archive footage and Pamela's personal journals. The news comes days after the release of Hulu's new 8-part limited series, Pam and Tommy, which chronicles a difficult chapter in Pamela's life and was reportedly developed without her permission. The Kashmir Files is an emotion, a mission, not just a film, a report by our India correspondent Rajiv Vijayekar. The press conference for the Kashmir Files, a scathing and disturbing drama on the greatest genocide unleashed in the civilized world against the Kashmiri Pandits way back in 1990, was in a league of its own. Held at Red Bulb, a preview studio, it was enough to jolt and chill every member of the media present. Writer-director Vivek Ranjan Agnihotri of Tashkent Files fame and his actress wife Pallavi Joshi had toured USA, UK and Germany for over 40 days. Writer-director Vivek Ranjan Agnihotri and his actress wife Pallavi Joshi had toured USA, UK and Germany for over 90 days, recording video testimonials of people's experiences at first hand, including what had happened to them, their parents, children and their families. Many of these Indians who had migrated there have now made a prominent name and position in these countries. More testimonials poured in from South Africa, Australia and parts of India, including Jammu. "Not a single word or scene in my film is fictitious," declared the filmmaker, stating that this was perhaps the most unique film ever made in the world. "We have only changed the names of the victims and we have placed everything in the common timeline. This is the only liberty we have taken." Vivek said that the Kashmir Files was more than just a film, it was an emotion. Supplementing his statement, Pallavi revealed that while their research was going on, she would not be able to sleep in their hotel at night. Supplementing his statement, Pallavi revealed that while their research was going on, she would not be able to sleep in their hotel at night, also well aware that they might hear worse the next day. Vivek decided to show the film in America, where an incredible 36 organizations, the World Sikh Association, Association of the Jews, Nepalis, Tibetans, Buddhists, Telugu and Sindhi community and others decided to showcase his film. In 16 cities, we had jam-packed shows with a stampede outside of those who wanted to watch the Kashmir Files, and all this without any press or TV coverage. With justified pride, Vivek added that there was not a single negative comment after shows across 16 cities, but only tears and hugs. "We made the film as a mission. Its success shows the power and universal resonance of a true story," he concluded. And that's a wrap on Vision of Asia tonight. Send us your suggestions and community news. that you would like us to cover on our print and television coverage at events@itvgold.com. Follow us on our Facebook handle at ITVGold. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and pick up a copy of Desi Talk if you are in the tri-state or in the Chicago area. For news on community, entertainment, and events in US and India, you can also read the News India Times newspaper online at www.newsindiatimes.com or subscribe to the hard copy by calling 212-675-7515. This is Pia Jyoti Kachru saying goodbye.